I have practiced this many times today, so I hope that I don't skip anything. I have a lot that I want to say. As Joan said, I'm a mom of four. I run a daycare, so I'm working from like 6:30 in the morning until I go to bed. And I've just recently like really dove into this coaching. It's not really even a side gig anymore, but it's becoming more of like a full-time thing for me. And it's really what I find to fill my cup because the rest of my day is just filled with complete chaos. So I kind of just want to take you back to like when I first started. I have always wanted to be a mom. And whew, when I thought about the mom that I wanted to be, I wanted to be adventurous and I wanted to be energetic. And I always pictured myself being that mom that like got on a roller coaster with her kid or had sleepovers and was good friends with the parents. And after I had my first kid, my anxiety took over me. I was not the person that I thought I would always be. I always thought that I would continue being adventurous. And I remember one night sitting up in my bed and felt like I was dying. I felt crazy. My husband was working 80 hours a week. He was never home. And when he came home, he was tired. I was working full time. I was going to school full time and I was a mom full time and I was a damn good mom. But my anxiety made me feel otherwise. My husband took me to the emergency room that night and I knew what they were going to say, but I just didn't believe it. Your vitals are okay. Um, you're having an anxiety attack. And I was like, how can I feel so crazy? How can I feel like I am dying and my vitals be okay? The next day, I called my primary care provider and I went and talked to him and I told him everything I was up to. And he said, if you're working full time, if you're going to school full time and your mom and your husband is working, you need something for yourself. You need to eat healthy, you need to work out. And I said, I am eating healthy. I am working out. Like I was 20 at the time. I thought I was doing everything that I needed to do. So I went home. We were living with my mother-in-law at the time, and she said, hey, do Weight Watchers with me. I said, okay, I'll do Weight Watchers with you. So I remember going to the grocery store, and the food that I ate was not nutritious. On Weight Watchers, you can eat salami, you can eat pepperoni, you can eat a bunch of shit for little points and never fuel your body. So my anxiety continued to get worse. My exercise was going for a walk with my baby that wasn't mobile. So I was never getting my heart rate up. I continued to start to feel worse. And so I went back to the doctors. I didn't want to be on medicine, but I also didn't have the time to work out. I didn't have the mindset to create the time to work out. So he put me on medication. We tried a couple different things. I started feeling less anxious. And but although I was feeling less anxious, I had no motivation to do any of the things that I loved. I started to become even more of a person that I never thought that I would be. I had excuses to not do things with my son. When my husband did have a day off, I wanted sleep. And I wasn't anxious anymore, but I just settled for less. So we moved out, we bought a house, and I didn't have any extra money, but we ended up planning our second child. I got pregnant, had a miscarriage, and then had my daughter. Got pregnant with my daughter 2 weeks later. I swear the hormones from having a miscarriage and getting pregnant with her leveled my anxiety out. I was no longer anxious. I was feeling amazing. I could eat, I could do things. So I had her, and slowly after my anxiety got a little bit worse and it triggered me to not want to do anything. I became a homebody. I started gaining weight back. I still had those clothes in my closet that would fit someday, but they were just a reminder that, I was not the person that I used to be. And I just started feeling like the only thing that I was in this world was a mom. And so I went back on medicine. And even though the medicine started making me feel better, I still used anxiety as a crutch to keep me from doing the things that I should have been doing. I remember one day my husband said, "Let's take the kids for a walk up the road to go fishing." And I said, "I can't, my anxiety's so bad." It wasn't, but I friggin' felt like shit. So I didn't want to do anything. I ate shit. I felt like shit. And I remember the guilt. He walked my kids up the hill by himself, took them on an adventure all day. And I remember how guilty I felt because I used my anxiety as a crutch to not do something because I didn't want to do anything about the way that I felt. So I got pregnant with my third kid, and I remember going to my doctor and saying, "I never want to be on medicine again. Like, I feel so guilty. Like, I feel okay, but I feel guilty because I'm letting this be an excuse to not do anything." And he looked at me and said, "You're fucking crazy. Why are you having a third child if you feel this way?" And so I just remember saying, "I'm never going to go back on medicine again." My doctor is telling me like that I'm insane for doing this. So at this time, one of my friends from college was doing 21 Day Fix, and she looked friggin' amazing. I did 21 Day Fix with her. It was when the CDs were out, and I did it once. I got amazing results, and I remember posting on Facebook. It was a edited photo, and it was a picture of the CD. It wasn't any results. It wasn't anything. I got no love, and I remember kind of being like, "Oh, shit, like I'm not gonna get any support from this. Like I can't be a coach." So I did 21 Day Fix, got amazing results, did it 2 more times, I felt so good in my skin. I remember a picture of me in the mirror with a shirt that was so loose. And I reached out to my coach and I said, "I'm loving this. Like, how do I move forward?" And she said nothing back to me. And at this time, there was another MLM going around and it was circling and it was pretty popular. And the group of women from this area were so energetic. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, if I'm not getting any support from my coach from this, I'm jumping over to that one. So I jumped into friggin' Herbalife and I was drinking 3 shakes a day. I was drinking unlimited friggin' caffeinated tea, diet pills that honestly, I don't even remember what the name was. And there was no meal plan, there was no exercise, and I wasn't even seeing results, but the energy from the girls kept me going. So I kept going until my anxiety struck again. And when my anxiety hit me, I was like, "Oh, hell no. Like, I can't go back to feeling like this." So I went to my doctor and I said, "I'm eating healthy. I'm drinking these shakes." And he's like, "Hold up. What are these shakes?" And I had brought them with me. And I said, "This is what they are." And he yelled at me. He flipped the thing over and read off all of the ingredients that were like hidden. It didn't come right out and say like sucralose and aspartame, and but they were all like hidden in these words that I had no idea what I was putting into my body. But I can tell you, as soon as I stopped, I felt a change. And I remember crying, like, what the hell did I just put into my body for, I don't know, like a whole summer? So I stopped that and when I came back and told my coach or my upline that I was done with Herbalife and that this was why, I haven't heard from her since. She was not the accountability partner that I thought I had found. Um, it was not long after 80 Day Obsession was getting ready to launch, and Katie had reached out to me, and she had reached out to me a couple times. She sent her big like launch invite, and I ignored her. And then she reached out again. She did her follow up, and I something had happened that day, and I remember Joey saying something to me, and he didn't intend for me to feel like I was a burden, but I knew that I was getting back into that same circle of like feeling guilty. And I wrote to her and said, "You know what? I want the mega pack. If I'm going to spend all this money, I'm going to promise I'm going to do it. I'm going to get results." So she sent me the mega pack, and I remember I opened it and I didn't buy it. And a couple of days went by, and she followed up again, and I bought it. And she instantly added me to the launch group. And I remember seeing the um, the energy. We were doing a little obsessed before, and Joan was talking about how to fuel your body with the food. She was breaking down the meal plan for me. That was the first time in my life that I had looked at food as fuel versus dieting. And I was just so excited to have this kind of support. Um, I traveled to Iowa. I took my weights with me. I got there and I prepped my food. I waited for my nephew to be born. I The energy was so much that it kept me going even while traveling across the country, and my anxiety in 2 weeks was gone, that I got on a plane and traveled, and I still will never forget that feeling because that was not where I was at before. Um, so I messaged Katie and said, "I feel so good, like, I want other people to feel this way, like, how can I coach?" And she was like, "Well, you already signed up as a discount coach, so really all you have to do is share your journey just like you are. Reach out to people and get them signed up." She tagged me in that post on, Project Fearless, and I watched the videos. Um, I finished 80 Day Obsession, lost 30 pounds, and I felt the best I have ever felt in my whole life. Um, and I did it again, and I still continue to feel good. I shared my journey. I went diamond in, I think it was 30 days. Um, but I wasn't following up with the ladies that I had signed up. And I think that's where I know that's where I went wrong. I was signing people up, but I just wasn't being the support that they needed, that I needed when I first signed up. So I got pregnant again, worked out throughout my whole pregnancy, did 80 Day Obsession, and I got really comfortable with the workouts. And I just started working less and I was making less. And I was okay with that at the time because it was my business and I was running it at the pace that I needed to. And I had Henry. 2 weeks went by. I was pumped to get back into it. I started and I didn't have a lot of weight to lose after Henry, but my results still, my core was the strongest it had ever been, even just 13 weeks postpartum. I started sharing my journey again, and girls were loving on everything. And then I switched programs, and I wanted to take advantage of the bar program and the launch. I started doing bar and it just wasn't for me. My ass hurt more than it has ever hurt from 80 Day Obsession. And I mean, I was seeing results, but mentally it wasn't what I needed. Um, it just wasn't fueling like my mental fire. I wasn't looking forward to team calls anymore. Um, I was showing up for Rise and Jives because I knew it was more laid back until the day Joan, at this time, Joan was running a tracker group. And I had showed up for the first couple of days doing my tracker. The whole reaching out to invite people to coaching kind of made me uncomfortable. So I stopped showing up for the tracker group. And then I got on the Rise and Rise, and Joan said, "Hey, Becca, you got 2 strikes. Where are you at?" And I had no response other than I'm not putting in the work. And I was almost embarrassed because I had fallen from Diamond 2 times. And Joan, Katie had spoke up and said, "Becca, you're not sharing the way that you used to. You're not sharing your journey. You're not making your journey, you're not making how you feel each day match your story and what you're sharing on Facebook." And it made sense. I knew exactly what she meant, but I was still too ashamed to say that I wasn't enjoying bar. I felt like if I was a coach from Beachbody, that I needed to be enjoying bar, and I needed to take full advantage of that launch. So another week went by, still hated my workouts. I was faking my smiles and my selfie, and honestly, my posts were just not authentic. So I get on the next Rise and Jives, and Joan speaks up again, and she says, "Guys, I'm on day 6 of 80 Day Obsession." I was speaking to Autumn, and I'm instantly like, "Oh, okay." She was talking to Autumn. I'm obsessed with Autumn. And she said that Autumn had told her that if she wasn't feeling her workouts, if she wasn't into them, that she needed to change it up. And she needed to, even if she was a coach, that she needed to enjoy her journey, and that she could watch the videos from bar, educate herself enough, and still enjoy her journey while she's promoting bar. And I was like, ding, like I unmuted myself, which I never do. And I said, "I'm doing day 6 with you today. Hate cardio flow, but I'm doing it with you." I got off, did cardio flow. I was so sweaty. I felt amazing. My energy just from that one workout and knowing that I was going to look forward to my workouts again, I was like, yes, I'm doing this. I got on my phone, talked to my phone, created FOMO in my story and said, "I'm opening 5 spots for women who want to jump in this with me." And it wasn't even a week, and I had filled those 5 slots. And I remember Katie said, "Holy, what are you doing?" I said, "I talked to my friggin' phone." Like I hated talking to my phone. And so where was I? So right after that, Katie had created like a pod for us of girls that were working close to the same goal. And these girls just kind of became like my fire. Like, if they were working towards a goal, I was working towards that goal with them. And then we had another pod where I was helping my builders. So I was in a pod where I was helping girls build themselves. I was in one that had the same goals as me. And now I'm in one with girls that are higher than me, that are showing me the leadership skills that I need to obtain. Um, so my business is going, and I started getting bored with 80-day obsession. Never ever in my life thought that I would say that. But Tiffany was doing lift 4. So I jumped in with her. She was on week 7, I think. And we still had like 3 weeks left until 10 rounds. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't get bored. I don't want to get back in this slump. So I jumped in with her. Loved lift 4. Learned a little bit more about it because I hadn't finished it before. And I was sharing my journey. I made $400. I was pumped. That was the most I had made like in a week. I said, I'm going to work my business. I'm going to make that next week. I only made $300. And I'm like, frig. The next week came, I'd only made $200. I'm like, what the hell? So I printed off my tracker. I started asking the girls to do power hours with me. I showed up to every team call. I was talking more. I was becoming more interactive during the calls. And I ended up doing one of Autumn's workouts, and I can't remember what it was. And she said, you don't grow when you're comfortable, or something like that. I'm like, holy shit, she's right. So I'm like, I told Katie, I just have to make myself uncomfortable. And Joan reached out to me, or Katie, and said, do you want to go live in the coach sneak peek? And I was like, no, but I will, because I just said that I'm going to be uncomfortable today. So I did. I almost felt like I was going to puke, but as soon as I got off, I was like, I think I can do that again. And just by making myself uncomfortable and realizing that I could do that, I started sharing more in my stories on Instagram. I started having more people reach out to me instead of me having to go and invite 100 people a night. Katie messaged me and said, you're almost 2-star, like, let's get it. And I was thinking, like, Jesus Christ, like, this is legit. Like, I cannot believe that this is actually happening right now. And I started thinking, like, what am I going to do to like get forward? Like, I started talking to Joey about it. Like, Joey, this is legit. Like, I'm making money. Like, I'm making more selling Beachbody and promoting something that can make people's lives so much better than I am running my own business from 6:30 until the time I go to bed. I said, and so he was like, well, like, is it just the money? And I'm like, no, it's not. And so I sat down and I said, I needed more. The money is great, but for me, it needs to be more mentally for me. So I created a vision board. One day during rest time, I sat down, I took 2 shots of Energize, and I was like, I need to mentally get myself into this. I created a vision board, and I was like, what the hell? What can I add to this vision board? Like, I don't travel. I'm about as boring as I can get. Like, I mean, I hang out with kids all day, and I was like, I already got my 4 kids. I got my husband. My house is an old house, and we built it to exactly the way I want it. I've got my 2 cars. Like, what is it that I want from this? What am I going to say that I want to work for to make this my business? And so I sat there and I realized what I want is time. I got 4 kids. Time slipping by. My oldest is already going to be 9 this summer. And I'm spend so much of my time right now raising other people's kids and making money that is going into paying for a daycare, which I love my daycare and it will always be something that I do, but I need time. And if I can find time to work my business now during the day, during rest time, any little time that I can fit so that I can have time later, then that's the only why that I need. So now that I'm realizing that, I mean, I made $3,000 in the last month. Um, and I started thinking, like, Jesus, I'm really making this work. Like, this business, I've had friends tell me, like, you need to get into this at a right time. Like, if you're not one of the first ones in this business, like, you're never going to make it work. And I believed that, but not now. Like, I mean, I'm making great money. I'm finding time to be with my children. And so I started thinking, like, what do I need to continue to do to make this happen? What do I need to do to make this money keep coming in so that I can have that time? So I have been inviting every single day. I don't care what anyone has to say back. I have gotten some messages that the old me would have stopped me. I've been following up. I have been posting and sharing every single day. I don't give a fuck who gets annoyed. If they're annoyed with what I'm sharing, then they're not my people and they don't need to be on my team. And I think it took really understanding that we have the full and total package with what we are promoting. We have diet and exercise, we have meal plans, we have a powerful shake, we have all natural products, and we have the best team. When we are down and we're not working our business, we have people to lift us up and tell us exactly what we need to be doing. And not only that, but like if we're in a place where we can't work our business mentally, it's okay because it's our business. And I think just understanding that and seeing what's possible, knowing that what our goals are, setting time and saying like this, if this is what my goal is, this is how much time I'm putting into it. Um, and I think the most important thing that I've learned in the past couple months is when we sign up our people, when we sign up our ladies and our men, that we need to be we're not just signing them up, but we're following up with them. We're putting them into a challenge group, and we are their support system because they need us just as much as we need them. And I think even like what's today, the 4th of the month, I haven't signed a person up yet, but my conversations have been going. I've been inviting, I've been following up. And on these hard days when nothing's showing right yet, it's going to come, and it's going to come in a couple of days. So we just have to dig deeper and find like what it is that we want to share our story, and always remember that when somebody has something negative to say to us, or when someone has a negative opinion of us, that their opinion means absolutely nothing to us. It's none of our business what anyone negative thinks. We need to focus on those who want us and those who need us, and remember that those who are negative will always come knocking on our door. Um, I think that's all. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. um, that's all, she says. So many good nuggets. Your story is incredible. And I think that it's so important to share because you guys, you can see that this was not just like a straight line for her. She didn't just like sign up and become a coach and like go 2-star overnight or start signing 23 people in a month like overnight. It came with her very, very powerful why. And I think when you look at all coaches in this business, the ones that were like doing okay and really love what we do, but then all of a sudden went and like hit the ground running, it's those that figured out what their why was. And like, it makes me think of Katie. It makes me think of Mariah. It makes me think of like, Shaylee, her call last, when was that, last week? I don't even remember. There's so much has happened. But it's that incredible why that's like, that makes you go through that challenge of like, who gives a shit what anybody thinks? Like somebody else out there needs me right now. So, guys, let's open it up to questions. I know you must have questions. If you don't feel like asking, you can just drop it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. But, ask some questions. I'll start with one. Who are you inviting? Because that's probably what people are wondering. They're like wondering, where are you finding these people and how do you start your invite?
I've been inviting everyone. At first, I kind of I was inviting like my moms that I wanted to focus on just like busy moms, but there's so many people that need us right now that I've just been inviting everybody.
Okay. And what do you send to them for an invite? What does your invite typically look like?
Ooh, gosh, I don't even know. I have so many copied. I guess right now mine is, a lot of it has been, hey girl, thank you for the love on my post last night. It really means a lot. I was just wondering if this is something that interests you. Or, right. hey, I seen that you've been watching my stories. This 10 rounds is straight fire. Everyone really seems to be loving it. Is this something that would interest you? Or,
Are you using the combo flow or the combo template?
I have not.
Okay. So you're just doing your own thing.
Yep.
Um, Shaylee said, how many invites do you send out a day or even a week?
I don't know. I know that my tracker says 30, but I've been sending out way more than that.
Okay. Um, I know that the other day you had said something to me about, you're no longer letting like the objections get you. You're plowing through them and not just taking no. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yep. um, so I think that a lot of people right now are kind of sticking with the excuse as to I don't have time, I can't afford this, and so the one like I can't afford this. Well, what do you normally eat during a day? Are you getting Dunkin' Donuts every morning? You can exchange your Dunkin' Donuts for a shake that's not just a drink, but you can make it into a meal or you can use it as a snack. The time, hey, I have zero time. If you want this, you need to create time. You can stay up later or you can make time in the morning. We have a 5:30 or a 7 a.m. Zoom call that you can hop on for extra accountability.
Awesome. Yes, that's just okay. So Tammy's asking, how did you find your voice in your posts? What do you mean, Tammy? Can you expand on that? What do you mean? How did you find, like, just how she's speaking of like her authentic self, or
Yes, exactly.
okay,
Yep.
So when the other day or last week, I made a post about my anxiety, and it actually started out as a post. I really wanted to share the facts about Shakeology because I've done other shakes in the past where they're just filled with chemicals. There's nothing nutritional to them. And I really wanted to just like share that with everybody what's in Shakeology. But I don't know. I still feel like it would be a valuable post, but at the same time, I feel like so many people would just slide past that. And I wanted people to know that this shake with its nutrition is fueling my body to get rid of my anxiety. My doctor was okay. My doctor approved of this when he has so many times said, absolutely not. What is wrong with you? Why would you even bring this into my office? He's like a very real doctor. And when he saw Shakeology, he was like, yes.
done and done?
So that's where I guess my voice has just kind of come with my experience.
So her confidence, because she is being proof the product works, she can sit there and say, this is what it's done for me. And when you have that ability, it's really easy to turn around and shout it from the rooftops. So I don't know if you guys listened to the national wake up call this morning, but she was talking about how she thought that she was sticking to the nutrition plan and being proof, but then realized she kind of wasn't, and that she was in this plateau. And it does shift your business when you are like, the reason 80 Day helped blow up so many people's businesses is because everybody had that feeling that Becca was talking about. Like that, like, holy crap, I've never felt this good. I've lost this much weight. I just feel like I'm fueling my body and everything just is flowing. And when your workouts and your nutrition and your body and your mindset, and they all go together like that, so does your social media, because you're just talking. Like, you're not trying to make up something for somebody to come and like. And I think that, Becca, you do a really great job too of having your conversations that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the more that I become confident with not just 80-Day Obsession, but with all the programs that I have kind of played around with, I feel like my conversations are becoming easier.
Yeah, awesome. Can you tell people how you're tracking people? Like, how are you tracking them? How are you following up with them? That sort of thing.
I am horrible at tracking, and I need to get Teamsy. So I waste a lot of time right now just by going back through my messages and searching and seeing who needs to be um, followed up with. And I have been finding some people that I have like blown off their conversation because I've lost them in um, just messages. So that is next on my list, is to get Teamsy.
I used to do the same thing, and it is like a time suck, and it makes you feel like, oh my God, who do I reach out to today? And you do end
Mm-hmm.
up missing people and stuff like that. So Teamsy ASAP, girlfriend. Um, Somebody said, what social media platform do you find most success with? And I say somebody because it says iPhone.
So I post my pictures through Instagram and it just automatically goes to Facebook. I've been trying to switch over to Instagram just because I like the setup of it. There's less negative posts, but everybody else comes to me more on Facebook. So,
Are you doing stories?
yep. So, and that tracker, I don't think I have it on me. Yep. This tracker is what has been the game changer, like telling you exactly what to put on your stories, like your daily life, your workout clip, product use, the call to action has been a huge thing.
How often are you following up with people? You guys aren't asking the questions, so I'm just going to ask the questions that I know you're all thinking.
I think you're asking questions too fast because I have tried to talk like 8 times and I'm like, well, I just want to know at some point when you're done answering this question, how you fit in like all your daily activities. Cause like you said, you're like from the time the kiddos get there in the morning, like I know they have nap time and stuff like that, but I know you're doing your workout and stuff too. So like, how are you squeezing it all in is
Yes.
a big question.
So I truly have had to create time. I've never been a person that gets up at 4, anytime between 4 and 5. I've always been like, roll out of bed, go straight to work. But I don't ever want to go back to feeling the way that I was. So creating that time and making it happen has been very important. And also now seeing that it is possible to make this much money, and just taking advantage of every second that I've had to, like if the kids are napping, sitting down and sending invites or following up. So just, I don't have the time. I don't, but I'm finding ways to create it. Did you ask, Joan? Sorry, I don't remember.
I asked how often you're following up and what that looks like for you.
So also not very good at that with my following up, but my conversations have been flowing pretty well right now. And I know that probably like when this pandemic is over and people start going back to work, that my conversations might not be flowing as well because people are going to be busy. They're going to be returning back to normal schedules, and they're not going to be as apt to reach back out to me when I
Don't put that out there. You're making all that up. This business works just as easy as it has been right now doing what you're doing. Don't put that out there and make that the issue. You've got all the answers and you've been blowing through those objections currently. It's going to be the same objections later. You got this. Just like, sorry.
The conversations have just been like flowing. So I'm
stay in that space. Stay in that space. The worst thing you can do is cloud your head by saying something's going to change. It's not. You've just figured it out and you're taking the action right now. Everything you are doing right now works when it's not a pandemic. Everything you are doing right now would have worked for you 2 years ago if you were in the right headspace. So don't put that in your head. Just keep freaking going. Blinders on, because you're crushing it. Like you are literally crushing it. So don't do that to yourself. Jordan says, how much time do you spend sending invites, follow-ups, building over the course of the week? We know you don't know, just estimate.
Well, my phone told me that I spent 10 hours on my phone last week daily. And I can tell you that I was truly like, I wasn't just randomly scrolling through Facebook. I've turned my random scrolls through Facebook to working. Like, so I wouldn't say 10 hours a day, but I'm eliminating that.
You have an awesome point there, you guys. Like, if you've looked at your phone usage, like it really is taking the time that you're probably already using and just flipping it into productive time. Like you said, you're creating more time for yourself, and it really is that you've started making that time that you probably were using somewhere else into productive time.
I mean, there was an evening last week when a group of us were awake, and it was actually after midnight, I think, when we finally all stopped talking and went to bed.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes it's sleep that you have to give up.
Yeah.
It's for a short period of time. For a short period of time. You know, when you're on that momentum, like just keep running with it. Just keep running with it, because the faster that you go, the faster you get yourself out of that time where this business can suck, right? Like it's the like getting started and the diamond wobble that sucks. But if you just plow through and you sacrifice a lot up front, you get to that point where it becomes a lot easier. You've got the momentum and your time starts opening up because you can let go of other things in your life because you're making a good income. So keep that in mind too. What? Okay. I feel like we should, does anybody else have any other questions? You can drop them in the chat or interrupt me or whatever you want to do. Are you guys finishing the pandemic is making it harder? I'm getting a lot of people wanting to sign up, but don't because business is down. Right. So that's another way to look at it, right? So like instead, Becca's turned that around, right? She's thinking it's easier right now. And some people are like, oh, it's hard because people don't have a job and they don't have money and they're worried about it right now. But because you don't have that in your head, it's not. So do you want to talk about that?
I guess I really haven't even thought about that. I don't know. I didn't think about people not having money. I mean, people are getting unemployment and then they're getting whatever on top of that. So is that,
600
is that,
more.
is that really an
on top of
excuse right now?
unemployment.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, people are saving money by not being able to go anywhere. Katie just said it's true. Like people aren't going out to dinner because they can't. People aren't going to bowling alleys. People aren't going to movie theaters. People aren't going to, bringing the kids to trampoline parks and things of that nature, you guys. So you have to keep that in mind. And just realize that money is a stand-in for what we value. It's just the easiest excuse to give if you're not really sure of what you want to do. But we all know that when you really need the money or you really want something, you figure it out, you find the money, right? So I think I think that's a great question. I don't know who asked it, but it's just a great question because it completely flipped it, right? So it's in how you look at it. That's what you're going to get back as a result. Yes, Shaylee is correct. Also, people can sense your uncertainty in your combos about money. Make sure you're not shopping with your own wallet. Make sure you're not putting your own stuff on them. If you're sitting there worried about telling them the price because you're like, oh God, I gotta tell them it's 160 and they're gonna leave. Then what do you think they're gonna do when you tell them it's 160? You put it out there. You made that happen. So don't do that. Instead, be like, this shit's 160 and you get a lot. And so then that's what people feel. What else? Any more comments, questions? Comments, questions. Yep. Everybody thinks you're a rock star and everybody's saying you're killing it. Everybody was talking about momentum. Yes, Jess, I love that you said your why needs to be stronger than the negative replies. When I get a negative reply, I think of my why I'm doing this. My why is so much stronger and means so much more to me than someone else's negative bullshit. Yes. And then she said, you're amazing. What else we got on here? You're a rock star. Kat wants to be like you when she grows up or when she has kids. Katie, that also is something Becca does well, leading with confidence. I know this program is going to help you reach your goals and I'm going to hold your hand and be there for you every step of the way. Call your ass out if you need it, proving she'll be there for support. Yes, the confidence behind it is so important. You're the coach. Mic drop. Love your message and persistence and motivation. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and throw the recording up in the team page. Any last words of advice or tips before we jump off, Becca, to maybe the brand new coach or to the coach that maybe has been struggling to get their business going?
Yeah, I just realized there was one thing that I wanted to say that I did miss because I got nervous. When I shared my story about anxiety and something that I've always wanted to say, but I've always been scared to share, just because of the way that I'll be judged. We all have a story. And if we dig deep enough and if it scares us to share it, other people need to hear it. Whether you are a mom that's battling postpartum, or you are recovering from addiction, or you have mental health issues, or if you just, I mean, even if your story is just, I don't know, there's so many different stories out there. We all have our own story, and somebody out there needs to hear it. So don't be afraid to share your story. Get out there. I challenge everyone to share something that scares you.
I love it. Thank you so much, Becca. You rocked your first call. I think that was freaking incredible.